Hi everybody, welcome back. Today I want to talk about something that's really important as an adult and as a juvenile. I mean, you can still get a juvenile record, but when you're 18 or over, when you're an adult, it's really important to keep your record in good standing and not have a criminal record. And this is going to be about fighting, and I would strongly advise you not to fight unless it's self-defense. And even if it is self-defense, don't take it too far. Just go as long as usually fights. Because I know in high school and junior high, even elementary school, when there are fights, the kids usually like that. They kind of like that kind of action. They wouldn't step in. Maybe they were scared, but they usually used to like stand around. Oh yeah, fight, fight, fight. And teachers would normally, or lunch aides, somebody would eventually break it up. But especially as an adult, when I've seen people fight, it usually gets broken up pretty fast. So if you do fight in self-defense, you shouldn't have to do it for too long, because usually there's people ready to step in and hold back both parties, people on both sides. And even if it's like, I've seen group fights in bars too, where a number of people are involved. But the reason for I say it's not worth it to fight unless it's self-defense, and even if it's self-defense, I say not to take it too far. Just do it until you have to. Don't go to, sometimes, especially if you're intoxicated, if you're really angry, if you suffer from anger management or you're pissed off, you might take it a little too far. You could severely injure somebody. You could even kill them. You could permanently injure them and end up, if the person doesn't have insurance, I'll get into these stories in a minute, but you could end up being responsible for the other person's medical bills, and especially if they don't have insurance, God knows how much money that could be. It could be thousands of dollars. Um, and especially if you're on the offensive end, sometimes people have insulted me, they've insulted my friends. One time, a girlfriend I had at the time, a guy insulted her pretty badly right in front of me, and I was about ready to fight, but I'm like, you know what? I just told him, yeah, I said, hey, that's really inappropriate. Don't be talking about my girlfriend like that. And I just left. And I think that's the mature way to handle the situation. Yeah, I think just diffuse the situation. If the person won't leave you alone, I say just leave. If you can, just leave wherever it is. It's usually in public places, bars, clubs, this kind of stuff goes on. People are intoxicated. They just, say things they wouldn't say in a million years, do things they wouldn't do in a million years. People aren't thinking too clearly. And especially if you're a good person, if you're intoxicated, you may not think too clearly. I was kind of intoxicated that night, and I was about ready to fight this guy, but I'm like, you know what? I just got back on my feet. I was unemployed for a few months. I just got a job. And I said, you know what? I don't want to get arrested. I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to take a chance of losing my house, losing my job. I was single at the time, didn't have another income to depend on. I, said my financial situation was already pretty tight. Like, I don't want to make it worse than it already is. So I just, I told the guy, and I still wanted to leave, but the situation got diffused pretty quickly. But I just said, that's really inappropriate. I don't appreciate you talking about my girlfriend like that. And I don't know if he was sincere about it, but he shook my hand. He said, oh yeah, that's fair enough, but I was really upset. I didn't want to see him. I didn't want to talk to him, be around him anymore. So I told my girlfriend at the time, I'm like, it's okay if we just leave. I'm really upset. I really prefer we just get out of here. And she's like, oh yeah, that's fine. And we did. We left. And, there was another time a person insulted me, and I was about ready to fight, but I thought to myself, I don't want to lose my house, I don't want to go to jail, I don't want to lose my job. I was in a tight financial situation. Like, I don't want to make things any, harder than they already are. And I was thinking, that's the word I was thinking of. I was doing what's called rational thinking. You may have these emotions that get you in a state of being upset, being angry, being defensive, but that's on the one end of the spectrum. And then the other end of the spectrum is you think rationally, and that goes not just to situations like that, but a lot of situations in life. You gotta, be mature and think rational. Think of the better concept, and I shouldn't say the better outcome that could come of being rational. But even in self-defense, I did, when I worked at that jail back, 'cause I used to be a medical records clerk in the county jail when I lived back in Illinois for 10 years. And I do remember this guy, and he said it was just self-defense. He got attacked. He still doesn't know why he got attacked. It was like kind of like, I don't know if it was a road rage incident or what. He said he wasn't driving. He didn't think he did anything to tick this guy off, but he was at a red light, and this guy behind him he knows he was following him for a while, and he got out of the car. Well, he stayed, my friend, this guy that I knew, this inmate, he stayed in his car, and this guy that was following him just came out of his car and with a baseball bat and smashed all his windows in, started attacking him with the baseball bat, and he actually took the bat away. And he said it was just self-defense, but he said he suffered from anger management, and he said he started beating this guy up with a baseball bat. He said he should have stopped, but he took it a little too far. He almost killed the guy. He permanently injured him. I don't remember in what way. I think the guy suffered like bleeding on the brain. I think he might have suffered permanent brain damage from it. He's mentally disabled now, but he almost died. He was in a coma for a couple months, and he said that he was looking at like 30 to 40 years in prison for, possibly, if the guy died, he was looking at murder charges and probably 40 years, 30 to 40 years, maybe even life in prison. But turns out the guy got out of a coma. He didn't die. He's still permanently injured, but he still got several felonies, several charges, convictions tapped on him, and he was sentenced to, I think he got out in half the time. He was looking at like 15 years in prison, but he did get out after 7.5 years. But he completely, not sure what he's up to now, but he said, yeah, he's like, it wasn't worth it. He's like, I completely fucked up my life. And I did know a guy, a friend of mine I worked with, he got insulted, and he did, again, I would have just left. He should have just left, but he told the guy, he said, he was kind of, look, he wanted to fight this guy, which he ended up doing, but he said, you got two choices. He says, one, you apologize to what you said to me right now, or two, I'm going to beat the living shit out of you. And the guy, I guess that chose number two. Well, he actually was self-defense. The guy took a beer bottle. My friend actually had to get stitches on his head from it. He cracked his head open with a beer bottle, but then my friend grabbed the beer bottle, and it was self-defense, but he took it a little too far. Luckily, he didn't kill the guy or permanently injure him, but he beat his head in pretty badly with a beer bottle, and ended up cracking his skull, and it went to court, and I think the guy didn't, I don't know if he had insurance or not, but he got sued, and he ended up having to cover this guy's medical bills, which I'm sure was, even with insurance, was probably not too cheap. And you just don't want to get into a situation like that. You really don't. And I had another friend, and he said the only thing that saved him was his rich doctor that basically saved his ass. He said if it wasn't for his dad, he probably would have lost his house. Somebody insulted his girlfriend, and he took it too far. He beat the shit out of this guy, and the guy didn't have insurance. He didn't have medical insurance, and he got stuck with like $30,000. This guy's medical bills, and I guess his rich father, who was a doctor, bailed him out. But he said, yeah, he was on the verge of, if it wasn't for his dad, he probably would have lost his house, probably would have had to file for bankruptcy. So it's just, it's just totally not worth it. My advice is just to, if you have to fight, just fight in self-defense, and just do it until it gets broken up. Do it only as far as you have to. Don't take it too far, because you don't want to kill somebody. You want to permanently injure somebody, and you don't even want to hurt somebody pretty badly to the point where they have medical bills and they end up suing you for it, because most people don't have that kind of money to be throwing around. I sure don't have that kind of money to be throwing around. And I'm definitely 44 years old right now. I'm a rational thinker, and I'm just fortunate enough that I did get into my fair share of fights, but I'm just glad that they all got broken up pretty quickly and nobody got hurt pretty badly. I'm just fortunate that I didn't end up killing anybody or hurting anybody pretty badly, because they could have turned into one of those situations for me. So yeah, that's all I got to say about that. And please be a fighter. Be a lover, not a fighter. Yeah. And one last word of advice. I know my best friend, his dad he didn't want him to get a DUI. He was giving him talks about blood alcohol content, about how it doesn't take much to get you intoxicated behind the wheel. He was giving him talks about not drinking and driving because it's pretty easy to get a DUI, even with just a little amount of alcohol these days. With the legal limit is lower than it used to be. It doesn't take much, and he was just telling. I shouldn't say everybody, because some people that are in prison or jail are sociopaths. They don't feel any guilt or any remorse. They don't see the error of their ways. But I think most of them would do things over again if they could. Best advice I ever got, I think, and my best friend's dad, and this is just about drinking and driving, and this is my last word of advice here, and it applies to this situation too, but my best friend's dad, he said, trust me, he said, everybody that's in a jail cell right now, everybody that's in a prison cell right now is thinking, if I could do things over again, I would have done things differently. And at that point, even as like an 18 or 19-year-old at that point, I was like, yeah, that makes sense, I bet. And that was, I could say almost 30 years later, that was the best advice I ever got. And it definitely helped me to stay out of trouble. And I did some stupid shit when I was younger, a lot of stupid shit. I could have gotten arrested, could have gone to jail, could have lost my job, could have suffered severe financial consequences from it. But I'm just fortunate that I never ended up in a jail cell or a prison cell. So that's all I got to say about that. Comment, like, share, subscribe. Be safe, be smart, think rational, and I'll talk to you all real soon with another video. Have a great rest of your week, everybody. Talk to you all soon. Bye.